Hello and welcome back to Pushing Technology to the Limit. For you that are subscribed, thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you're on Amazon, please come over to YouTube, Facebook, and if you're on YouTube, please come over to Facebook. There's a lot more information. We have a lot going on in this video, and I think it will be of interest to you. Now, you're going to wonder why that there are, if you've watched the other video that I have and two different titles, I'm trying to get a wider audience with different titles on the same video. Now, some people are going to be looking for Ubiquiti, and some people are going to wonder what Beam Me Up Scotty is. It's basically the same video. I'm just trying to get a wider audience with titles. And well, we've got a lot here today. And it's amazing equipment. I can't, and I'm one that's not too keen on wireless, but I like this wireless unit. It is practically like it's wired. And one of these days, I'm going to make a video on how to make a redneck tractor. Because I'm actually going to mount this thing to my tractor and we're going to test it out in the yard. See how well it works. And but enjoy this video and tell other people about it. Hello y'all. How's it going today? I've got an awesome video for you. I'm going to be talking about Wi-Fi. I got a little Wi-Fi router here. Now ask yourself, does your neighbors make you jealous? Do they have the most recent and up-to-date stuff, like cars, ATVs, all sorts of stuff? Well, how would you like to make them jealous at what you've got? Do they have one of these sucky little routers that don't hardly put out anything? You can have a powerful Wi-Fi, folks. I've got one in testing right now, and it's not this. And I've got a whole table back here full of computers, audio and video equipment. It's so noisy here. I've got to talk much louder than I usually have to because of all the noise. And you can see some of it running back here. I'm actually playing a DVD over wireless. Sweet! Now, let me get showing you all the stuff that you need to get this going. It's very simple and it's cheap. How does $100 sound you? That sounds pretty good to me. I went for it. You can send your network up to 15 miles away from your location, whether you're a business or whether you're a home user. I like it. I've already done several tests off screen to show myself that it actually works. And I was able to send 80 gigabytes wirelessly over the air and back into my computers. And yes, it was long and slow, but it completed perfectly. Now one of these little routers, it would stop. It would just knock off, maybe not the router, but something within the networking, whether it's the laptop or the wireless device. Sometimes I'm not even using laptops all the time. Sometimes I'm just using a wireless adapter from my desktop computers. And it still was pitiful. It doesn't matter how powerful your computer is. These wireless routers just suck. They're not meant to transfer large amounts of data. Now, as you can see back here, you can see some my video playing on this TV set, and that is all wireless. Everything in the back of me right now is running on this point-to-point wireless, not this. And it's transfers through it wirelessly and brings it back to Ethernet. And then you can run one of these devices on your endpoint, wherever you want to go. So let me get to showing you some of the equipment I've got installed. And I'm not going to go into advanced setup. Mine is very advanced because that's just me. And I want to just make it simple for you folks to see how this works. Now if you want more advanced setup features and things like that, I'll be making more videos on how to set it up to be more advanced. Now the equipment that I have installed here at my home, I have smart switches and VLANs. And VLAN is Virtual Local Area Network. You need a router that supports it too. Now let me give you a heads up on some of this advanced stuff. Now this is not for your typical home use. I mean, if you are a techie and you like the coolest thing and you're tired of your neighbors always just bragging about their new boat, their new car, well, put up one of these antennas. Make them look bad. I tell you, this is the nicest piece of equipment I ever owned. And like I've said, I'm not for wireless, but hey, I like this wireless device that I've got. It's a Ubiquiti point-to-point. And it was the cheapest one on market. $50 for each antenna. So that to me was a reasonable buy. And they go up from there if you want different speeds. Like this one runs at 100 megabits per second. There's a lot other ones out there. And I don't know which one to choose from. So that's why I stuck with this one. So, yeah, and that's one of my tests that I'm going to show you today. It's a performance test with a DVD playing. Now, let me try to illustrate what I've got running back here. Some of you have heard of Plex servers. I've heard of them. I have a friend that talks about it, uses it. Basically, this is like a Plex, but it's an older version of Plex. Now, it's not Plex at all. It's a different brand server that I've got running and media device. But it still runs like a Plex. A lot of bandwidth, baby. So, that's what you need in a Wi-Fi. Now, this thing is pretty puny. Now, when they talk about 300 megabytes, it is not running at 300 megabytes. And there's going to be some more videos coming on about wireless routers and access points. So, let me get showing you the equipment that I've got running. Let me show you the antennas, and I'm going to show you how I got everything pretty much rigged so we can do this test. I like it. So over here I have 3 laptops. These 2 right here and this big one. Now the big one I've got running has a dual core, and all these are running at 100 megabits Ethernet card. So these are the older technology type networking. It's not bad for what I'm using it for. Over here I have my switch. Now all the antennas, like I've said, is outside, and this is a smart switch. I won't go into too much about what everything is because it's just a load test video. I just want to see how everything works. Now right here is my TV with a DVD running, and here is it's my Sage TV, which is kind of like Plex. Like I said, it's an older version of a Plex server. And this is not the server, this is actually a device that connects to your network to play the video. And on the same note, I have a IP radio running all wirelessly. Of course, it's all wired into the switch, but it's going out to the receiving antenna. And let's get to that antenna equipment right now. Now here is my transmitter. That's that Ubiquiti antenna I've got. Now I have a receiving antenna in the garage. It's not pointed at the transmitter. Why? I wanted to find out how good the reception is if you couldn't get it pointed right at your antenna. I got 100% signal strength without it being pointed right at each other. And it's actually in the garage, and it's behind a wall. Of course, there's no insulation in my garage at all, so the signal can basically penetrate through the wall perfectly fine. Let me show you that receiver right now. So right here is my receiving antenna, totally not even pointing at the transmitter. So here it is in the garage, and this is the wall that it's mounted to on the outside of my garage. And let me show you the wiring. So right here I have fiber optics and my Ethernet cables. And these both are connecting it to the inside of my house. And I'm only doing it out here for test purposes, but when I get ready to set up to have the full installation, I won't be using this box to put it all in the house. I'll be doing it in other ways. Let me get to the basement and show you what's down there. So it's kind of hard to see down here with all the wires, but this wall right here, or stud in my basement that holds up the house, has all my wires that go into my office, throughout the entire house, and it comes in here by the garage. So let me show you the rest of the equipment I have going here. So these are the PO injectors, which means power over Ethernet. It's the only way that you can power these units. And I have them connected, one's connected to that plate up there, to my office, and the other one's connected to this switch over here. And that provides all the networking capabilities to give this test. Now let's go upstairs and see the load test work. And I'm going to send 250 gigabytes in both computers, so I got 400 gigabytes total to send through wireless. We'll see how long that will last and how much I can do on the network and stream video and YouTube channels. So let's get to that now. This is where the wires come in to my office from the basement and the outside. And the red cables that you see is the top one there is where the Wi-Fi receiver is coming into my office. So let's get to that test now and see how everything works. Before I actually get to the test, I forgot to show you one thing. I have a 10 strikes bandwidth monitor, and this is actually monitoring the load of my network that is transmitting the video to the receiver. Now this is only the transmission part. I do not monitor the receiver. And on my other screen over here is the transmitter. I can actually do the receiving end as well, but this is perfectly fine for what I need. And I'll show you the CPU usage. So here's my CPU. It's running about 26%, and I got 33% memory used. And here's my signal strength. I'm not totally understanding everything about it, but I understand that I've got 100% signal strength, and I'm not sure what the air max capacity means, but that's 74%, and that's perfect. And I'm using a lot of stuff right now with it. But we haven't gotten to the big test yet. And here's the speed, the transmission monitor. And here's one's the LAN, and the other is the wireless transmission. So let's get to that test right now and see if it all works. Now this is going to take longer than I'm going to film. So we'll see the end result when it's done transferring. It's going to probably take the rest of my day to do this. Alright, so far everything seems to be working fine. I got the audio turned down on all these computers because it would just take too long to be too loud to hear and too much jumble here. So I'm not sure if this is not a fast-paced movie, but it's working, and it's very smooth motion like all the rest of them. And I've got high power or high action video going on here with these two laptops, and it's actually working pretty good. And let me try doing actual file transfers while all these videos are running. Now they're going to change because everything's in a playlist on YouTube, and we'll see if we can actually get this thing to either it slows down and stops. Now the one thing that you can't hear is my radio. I've got MP3 files running simultaneously all together. So let's check this out and see if it all works. Alright, so far all the video is playing properly with one transfer. And I gotta wait until the other computer gets done so I have access to the folder to be able to send stuff to this computer. and then I'm going to actually get this machine right here to play or transfer video to and from the network wirelessly, of course, and see how this TV and the other radio stuff functions with so much activity going on. Because most wireless, like these wireless routers right here, when they get too overloaded, they just knock off. And you might have had that experience, but if you're not into video and audio streaming, and what I mean by audio streaming, by doing multiple things over your network, then this wireless contraption will work fine for you. But it doesn't work for me. And some of you are getting into high-end video and audio streams that this thing can't handle it. And will never handle it. And I don't know if the 5 gigahertz routers would work or not. But the system that I have installed right now works perfectly. So let's get set up on some other computers transferring some files to and from the network. And the last one you see is not going to be doing any transferring. It's just going to sit there and play videos while we do a transfer. And then I'm going to do a lot of more other testing to see what happens with that. So far on this computer I've got one transferring to this computer and one transferring from this computer to another computer on my wired network. Now, like I've said before, this is all my wireless setup here. Right down through this table. Right even up to this TV set here is all wireless. And then that goes back into wired. Now, like I've said, now if you see the size of the computers, I've got Ethernet cables connected to the switch. And this one's kind of getting messy over here because it gets right into the switch. Now I've got all sorts of stuff running here, and everything seems to be functioning fine as is. The YouTube videos are playing. Let me try some other things, and we'll see if we can bog this puppy down to fail. And I'm not really wanting to have it fail, but I want to see what the potential of this. Do you? I mean, keep watching if you want to find out what the potential of this piece of equipment is that I've got. Alright, so this computer is transferring 250 gigabytes to the system, and then I'm also sending 45 gigabytes back to the main network. And here is the YouTube video, and it seems to be working fine. The sound really sucks on this video. I don't know what video this is, but it is pathetic. I got the volume up to max, and I can't hear it worth a hoot. So, on the same end of things, I've got this computer over here transferring files, 250 gigabytes to the computer, and another 45 gigabytes back to the main network. And let's check the YouTube out, see how that works. It seems to be playing pretty smoothly. I don't know what the video is, but let's get some music here. I got a clip on that's recommended that I watch it. It's some kind of polka band, and let's see how well it plays. Doesn't sound too bad, and the video's nice and smooth and everything. And let's see here. And we're still transferring a lot of files to and from the computer. And this is all wireless, like I said. And here's that video. It's playing perfectly fine. Not even skipping a beat. Now, let me check some other things here. Let me look at this other computer for another example. Now this is all, like I said, it's all on the same network. It's all this wireless networking right here. Okay, let's see how this works. Now this doesn't seem too bad. Now I don't know what these videos are. Let's see here. They're just something random on YouTube. And as you can see, there is absolutely nothing transferring on this laptop. So it's running all three systems, actually four, are running perfectly fine for the wireless system that I've got set up on the outside of this house. Let me turn that down. And let's go for the TV set over here. Alright, so here's the Sage TV. Let me get a better angle here. So, let's see how this works. I'm going to turn it off so we can actually see it boot up and see how, if it takes a real long time to get it going. Because like I've said, and I keep saying this over and over again, this is all wireless streaming. And even the radio up on top that I showed you, and we'll get to that in a few minutes, that's wireless too. Now there's no wireless antennas in this house. This is, like I keep repeating myself because I want you folks to understand that this is still all wired, but the connection between the main branch of my network and this room is all wireless. Now, anything that you see on my computer over here on the left-hand side of this TV, or the right-hand side of the TV set, is all wired. My big desktop over here with a dual monitor. Alright, so let's see if this, with everything going on here, if it slows down. Because one of the problems I had before, I was transferring large amounts of data through my wired network, and it was bogging this thing down. Now, what I'm doing here is way more advanced than I know most users are going to have. And even the business isn't going to be doing what I'm doing. So this is like extreme of all the stuff I'm doing. And I don't think that the media share servers that I've got are able to handle all the bandwidth that I'm sending to the stupid thing. So it slows everything down. So let's see here if it... Alright, so it scrolls smoothly. So that's good. And let's go to videos. Okay. Well, as I see right now, let me stop because I see one thing going on here. Let me get to this computer. It's actually stopped and it's buffering. So, I'm not totally sure. It might be the file transfer. But all the rest of the computers that I have here, let me get down here farther. So all these computers right here are working just fine. And this one over here is still transferring data. So if I, let's see here. So right there are my two transfer windows. And here, back again, is Firefox playing the polka nuts. And so let's see what happens. Well, let me see if I can redo that other video. Well, let me get back to this one TV here, and I'll see if I can get that back going again. We got so much stuff going on here that it probably is having a hard time to handle it. Now, it's not the network. I know that. But I don't know what it is with this thing. Could be just a video. Alright, so I got this video playing again. I don't know why it really stopped, but right now it's working fine. And it started right up where it was buffering. So that's pretty good. Now let me get back to the television here. I've got my volume down for the reason because there's so much stuff going on here. Let me get going with this Sage player. So we got Christmas. Or all year, and I got all year. I picked let's see here, so these are like either VHS tapes or recorded TV shows or movies. Let's see here. Let's try. Yeah, we'll try a videotape first. See how that works. Well, actually, this is one that I've recorded off the TV, and let's see how the audio sounds. Actually, there's no... Let me fast forward a little bit here. So it doesn't do too bad. And I've got so much going on here, and I still can play my standard definition video. And let's get something a little bit more high-end here. Let's go to, I don't know. Well, we'll try that. Alright. So it basically is going to go through my, through the DVD. Let's see if we can fast forward it here. Alright. So everything working here. And let me turn around and show you some of the other computer stuff now. So we got all of our videos running. Let me turn that down. It's kind of distracting here. There's so much noise. So we got that television. We've got this computer. Let me zoom up on it so you can actually see it. So we've got this one. And this one is playing perfectly fine. Now, like I said, I've got the audio pretty much down on these things, so I can talk and think. But I can hear some of this stuff running because I've got so much stuff going on in the background. So let me check out my radio and see what it does with all this stuff running. Now, before I check out the radio, let me show you my computer. So let's see how the bandwidth is doing here. Alright, so look at all that bandwidth we're using. And I have a lot of stuff going on in this computer. And you can actually see the in and out right here. Look how, well, it kind of jumps up and down depending on what's going on. But there's a lot of stuff going on. And look at the, let's see how much we're using as far as megabits are concerned. It looks like we're using pretty much 100 megabytes. Now, not constantly, but over here, once we got all the traffic flowing, which is the videos playing, the audio stream running, and all the YouTube channels running all at once, there's a lot of data going for that thing, and it's staying current, and it's running perfectly fine with no glitches. Now, this is not your normal router or your wireless, Wi-Fi router. This is something totally different. It has more power than what anybody else knows that it can be able to do. Now, let me check the processor on the transmitter, and we'll see what that's doing. So right here is the CPU and memory usage. We're a lot more than halfway there, but it's between 66, 67, and 80, depending on what's going on. And I don't think that the memory has changed that much from when we last checked it. But let's see the signal strength. The signal strength is still excellent. Now look at my my bandwidth that I'm using. This is the WLAN, which is wireless LAN, wireless local area network, and we're running about let's see here. Well, it doesn't really okay. So we're running about 55 megabits transmitting wirelessly. And we're running about 90 megabits per second with the LAN, with the cable. And this is what's coming out of my network to go to the receiving. So let's check the actual receiver and see what it's doing. Okay, so here is my receiver. And we're running about, well, let's see here. I just opened this so that the measurements not, the bandwidth usage that I'm using is not going to be totally accurate. But we're running about the same processing power as the transmission. So if you want to see, I've got my transmitter open and my receiver, and that's the one that we're on right now. And it looks like the same signal strength, 100% Air Max quality, whatever that means. I'm not sure if that's the quality that we're getting for the reception or what. But then there's the Air Max capacity, which is 74%, and that's basically the same amount as the transmitter. So we're not doing too bad, even if we're not a line of sight. And it obviously proves that you don't need to have this unit dead on to your transmission. So we'll have to wait around and see how, if everything transfers properly and nothing quits on me. Well, let me show you my radio. Alright, so here's my radio. And I don't know if you can actually see the screen too well. Well, let me lower the tripod to see actually if I can actually get a better shot of that screen for you. Let's see here. Get it more dead level here. Sorry, it's kind of a crooked video because I'm don't have enough space here to get the tripod between the two tables. But I think you can see it pretty good. I'll have to check it on my computer. But sorry if it doesn't come out. Just let me apologize about that. Anyhow, let's see here. Okay. So I go to media player, and then UPnP servers. So I have my computer all set up to be a server, and it's that TV Versity server. Let's see how fast this thing can go. If we have a lot of jiggling or buffering of the audio, shouldn't, because audio is such it's nothing. Let's go to folders, music service. So this is my collection of music CDs, and I have a mix folder, meaning that I can do anything from bluegrass to movie and music, other things. I categorized it as movies and whatever else, like whether if I got country or rock and roll. I just threw it in all together because I didn't make a folder for it. It's because I didn't have enough of rock and roll, I didn't have enough of country, and I didn't have enough of movies, so I just mixed them all together and just called it movie and other. So this one's actually Christmas, but I don't really want Christmas. Let's see here. We have to get down to... let's see here. Okay, so here's all year movie. Alright. Let's see here. So it's going to take a little bit to shuffle it. And especially it's going to take a little bit longer because of the wireless. Now once it starts playing, we'll see if it works or not. And how long it takes to play. Now I think it takes a little bit longer with all this stuff running. You just can't get around it. But it really works pretty good. And I'm surprised. And I don't know if there's anybody else that's really doing a speed test on this Ubiquiti LiteBeam M5 that I've got. They all just give you a little rundown of what it all can do. So, alright. So there's my music. I hope you can hear that alright. And actually it's working pretty good. Now, those are my MP3 files. But I also got a whole lot of other things that I can do. Like I can play like a radio station. Well, that one's not working. So I can have, there's like a I don't know what station this is, but I don't know if it's from Ireland or what it is, but it's a Celtic station. And we'll see how if live is gonna work or not. And it's taking forever because I think it's just because of the connection that we've got here. If it was on wired, it would just be very quick. I mean, yes, it's on wired, but you know what I mean. It's on the wireless technology, the point-to-point Ubiquitis. And I'm not sure why it's taking this long. It shouldn't take this long. It's just a radio station. Let's try another one. Alright, here's Real Oldies. And we'll see if that one works. But it might take a little bit longer to connect. I don't know why. But we'll see. Now my MP3 is connected a lot quicker than the internet stuff does. Don't know why. That's just the way it is. But everything, I mean, well, I got an overload of stuff, for one thing, of running, with, let's see here, 3 YouTube channels running, transfers, the whole 9 yards. Well, this is taking a little bit too long to actually listen to it. So, but that doesn't matter. If I had it all, if I didn't have anything connected, I mean streaming, like movies and all sorts of stuff, it would probably connect a lot faster. But I do know that there's internet here because all the YouTube channels are working perfectly fine. So it might connect someday. Well, there's more to come with this video. But right now what I'm going to do is just let it rest and just let the processes process. And we'll see what happens at the end of this whole thing. If it stays, everything stays connected. And I'm going to be signing off for right now, and then I'll be back to finish the video. And then we'll see if everything successfully transferred or everything failed. So I'll see you back when this is over with. Well, the test is over. It was 24 hours, a little bit more than 24 hours, to transfer 500 gigabyte files. Now, let me explain to you what I've done, just to kind of recap what was going on here. So I have 3 PCs here, all running YouTube. I also have, on 2 machines, are transferring 500 gig files. Now, it's 250 gigabytes a piece for that, so that's 500 gigabytes for both computers. Now, the 2 laptops that I had, one was a lot less time than the other one. PC 1 took less time, PC 2 took more time. But they all completed successfully. Now, why did they take longer? Well, the reason is because of the configuration of the computers. And PC 1 had an internal hard drive of 500 gigabytes. I had enough room to send 250 gigabytes to that computer. Laptop 2, I had to put a 500 gigabyte USB hard drive to it. But you know what? The USB hard drive knocks the performance down quite a bit. And so these are the times that I've got for my 2 laptops. And that's with, as you can see, the TV's running, the radio's running behind me here, and all the YouTube channels are still running. And actually, I've restarted it up again to do another little test, but I'll get to that in the future. And so PC 1 took about 27 hours to complete. And then PC number 2 took about 36 hours to complete. And it's just because of the hard drive setup and the wireless. But what was really amazing is that I had everything running. I had this TV, I had the radio, like I said, you know, everything was moving. I had 3 YouTube channels running. Now, the only thing that I did find out with YouTube is that every so often, and I don't know why it was just YouTube, but I mean, YouTube is the only one that I ran. but every so often a video would buffer. Now, it didn't do it all the time. It was just once in a blue moon. So I don't know if it was YouTube or if it was the bandwidth through the wireless. I would suspect that it was YouTube more than my wireless setup, because this thing was really robust. I mean, it was just, I had everything running. I mean, I couldn't believe that this wireless system actually took all that data. And for the fact of the matter is that I transferred more than that, but I didn't keep track of the other one. I transferred over 600 gigabytes, so I had another audio file folder that was 50 gigabytes apiece. And I did notice with transferring so much that the files slowed down, but even with the files going so slow, that the performance of the network, with all the video stuff running, was perfect. I mean, you cannot get any wireless system more better than this. I mean, it's like it equals wired. Well, and like I said, I haven't tried it in long distance really. This is basically, you know, here on the same property and all that. But I'm sure that the performance would be just fine if you have no barriers. And so it took me another day, and I got an idea, and I thought, wait a minute, why don't I try my VoIP phone? That's voice over IP. That's basically what all the phone services are going to now. I just saw a couple articles while I was doing some research about copper phone lines being abandoned, and phone companies are forcing their customers off of the copper. I know it's a whole different subject. I'm not going to really talk about that, but you can do some research on landline and copper cable being abandoned. And you can also go to Facebook, and I've got a bunch of stuff about it on pushing technology to the limit. And it's all there. So, what now I'm going to try now is a voice. And I did this off screen. So this took me, the whole total testing process took me about 3 days. And what I found with this LiteBeam M5, you don't need any other antenna. This is the perfect system for you. Now I know of another friend of mine. I just talked to him off camera, and actually I did record him. I got permission to record his information, and sometime you'll see that video up there, and it's not really going to be a video, it's going to be an audio. And he told me all sorts of things about the Ubiquiti antennas that you really need to know. Now, I don't know how much time you want to spend watching this video, because it'll get kind of lengthy if I go into all details about that. So I'm basically going to make that another video. So I just want to give you some other things that you can do with this and demonstrate that. The other thing that I did get going while I was in my testing mode there. Now, many of you don't care about this feature. Me, I'm advanced. Some business might want to do it. It's VLANs. It's Virtual Local Area Networks. And basically, like I've said, you need a smart switch to do this. Now, if you go on to Ubiquiti or do a search on how to set up VLANs, there's hardly anything. So, I had to fiddle my way through it. And actually, I've come out and I've taken all my snapshots, and I found out that it's a 4-step process. And I'll just basically give you a little bit of a, for those that are interested, I won't go into detail too much because of most of you just want to use it. Now most users, what they want to do is just plug it in and just run it. Connect building A to building B. Me, I want to do more than that. So with this 4-step process, all you have to do is tag your master network, which is the one that you're going to transmit on, and then you tag your receiving end. Now, then there's some other things I can't really go into detail, but I'll make a whole nother video on how to do a quick VLAN setup and how to set up this in general. I have to do that. So let me make a phone call here, and we'll show you how well this works. And let me show you the setup first. I know I've showed you again, but I want to show you my voice over IP box, and it's set up into my phone. So here's my Obi voice adapter for Google Voice. And there's the connections, and it's all connected right into that switch. And this phone here has two phone lines. So one goes to my master phone, and the other one is my test phone. So this is like my, if I turn on speakerphone, that's my PBX. If I do line 2, that's this box. Because if I unplug it, I'll show you, it goes off. So that's how you can tell the difference between what line is running and which one is not. So I'll make a call and we'll see what happens. Now as you see, I've got 3 laptops running YouTube videos. And it's these 2 here. So this is the second computer. And it is transferring files. You can see that a little bit. Let me show you. So there's my file transfer going. And on PC number 1, I also have files being transferred as well. And I've got my Sage TV box, my IP radio, and this TV right here that's all running. So let's get to talking on the phone and see how well this works. And like I said, right there's the voice over IP box, everything blinking, the switch in the back, and there's about 7 devices running all together right now. And I think this would work perfectly on a large scale network with no problem.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing alright? So how does it sound?
Have you got any robins?
Yes, I do.
Good. That's a good sign of spring.
Yes, it is. So how's the conversation? Is it loud and clear, or is it kind of jittery, or?
It's fine, only it sounds like you're a little farther away.
Yeah, I'm on my speakerphone, so the people on the video can actually hear the conversation.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But can you hear me all right, or do I need to talk louder?
Fine.
All right. Well, I don't need to keep you. I just thought I'd, you know, see how well this worked for other people, and so.
Well, I hope it does.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good over here. Well, thank you so much for helping me test this thing out.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Yep. Well, you have a good day now.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Oh, see? There you go. There's a phone call with everything running through wireless. I mean, I think that's amazing that I can actually make a phone call and have 500 gigabytes worth of data going at once, going to and from my network, and phone service, and the whole 9 yards, and nothing slows down. And she was really impressed with the setup. And it takes a lot for my aunt to be impressed with what I do. And for anybody for that matter. So, I hope you get yourself a system and give it a shot, because this really does work good. I mean, I can't really explain any more than that. And I mean, how well it works, you got to see it for yourself. Now, the one thing that you got to keep in mind is, with the wireless, it's going to be sending your signal at 100 megabits per second. That's wirelessly. And it's going to be connecting you wired in the same way. It's going to be 100 megabytes going through your LAN cable. But there's other dishes out there, or antennas, however you want to call it. It looks like a dish, more or less, that are running at gigabit speeds, but they're only, the transmission part out the antenna is only 450 megabits. I don't really think that's a wise purchase. I mean, yes, you have benefits on the LAN, but as far as the wireless is concerned, you're not getting gigabit speed. Now you can ask my friend that, because he's the one that told me that, and I'm giving Doug the credit for that information. So I hope you tell other people all about this video, and just let them know. I mean, your neighbors will be surprised that you can go to your village or wherever you're at, or even go to your neighbors that are a mile down the road and used to be able to access your Wi-Fi. I mean, this is not particularly Wi-Fi, so to say. It's a little bit different, but you can still set this up to be Wi-Fi. And the other thing that's kind of a neat, interesting thing I found out with this whole thing is it's a transmission. Now, for one day, I did not do anything with it. And I have that 10 strikes bandwidth monitor. Now, if you want to find out more about that piece of software I have, look up 10 strikes and you're out software on my YouTube channel. And I gobbled up 600 gigabytes just transferring. Just whatever it was doing, I don't know, because anything on my receiving antenna wasn't having anything. I mean, yes, it used up about 60 gigabytes, but not what I was using on the transmission. I don't know what's going on, why when it transmits like this, it's putting out a whole lot of data, and I can see it on my computer. I could show it to you. Well, let me do that. I mean, right now it's kind of hard to show you what the usage was yesterday because I didn't film it, but I can show you what today was, and I can show you what the history was for yesterday. Let me show you that now. Alright, the top scale that you see right now is what we're transmitting right now. This is the transmitter. If I go up to the Wi-Fi receiver, we can see what it's coming and going in and out. Now this is an awesome piece of software. If you ever want to know what's going on in your network, this is the program to get. And I go into more detail about that on 10 strikes and you're out. So check that video out. So here, I want to show you some things on my transmitter. Now the panel below, which I'll zoom up on that, and I'll show you what we've used so far as of yesterday. And this was with nothing running at all. So with my transmission yesterday was about 665 gigabytes, and that was let's see here, my bandwidth out. So that is the transmission part. The bandwidth in was only 1 gigabyte. So that's what you're receiving in on your network, which is nothing. So then, if I look at today, so today's the 30th, and we have used over 635 gigabytes of data. That's actually this one is actually what I'm seeing here is let me move my mouse, is in. So that is actually coming in from the remote network. Now the actual going out, let's see here. Yeah, the transmission out was only 131 gigabytes, which is not bad. But I don't know why when there was nothing going on that we were using so much. So, but you know, now we're using less. I don't understand how this whole thing works, but I think this is pretty interesting. So if I go over to the Wi-Fi receiver and I look at yesterday's, it's like hardly anything on the receiving end versus the transmitter. I mean, I used 62 gigabytes yesterday and about a gigabyte. Let's see here. So the 62 gigabytes was the in, so that was what was receiving from the transmitter, and then we're using about a gigabyte of, it sending stuff back. So that's not bad. And let's look at today, because it's going to be a lot more than what we were using yesterday. So now looks like we're pretty much what we're using on the transmitter. Let's look at that too. It's close. But we're using about, 500, let's see here. Wait a minute, let me get closer to my monitor so I can see it. Yeah, using about 639 gigabytes for the actual going out. So that's because we've got so much stuff going on. We've got phone, we've got video, we got everything playing back here. We got IP radios running, the whole 9 yards. And which is to be expected. But I just want you to be aware of the usage of your bandwidth on your network. So my feeling about the whole system is that it's very reliable and it's robust. I mean, I don't know how much more I can do with this. I mean, I also ran my IP cameras over this thing, which I forgot to tell you about earlier. Now, I didn't use the transmission part, but I used the one of the computers to actually view multiple sources at once, and we had no problems. So if you're a business and you're looking for security systems and stuff like that, this is the one to go with. I mean, I don't know what the difference is between those other antennas, but I do know one thing from my friend Doug. He said get the one with a reflector shield on it, which is what I have. It looks like a dish. And he said there's some that do not have the reflector shield, and they do not work nearly as good as the ones that have the reflector shield. And I don't understand too much about what it does, but I guess the signal comes in and it hits it and bounces it into the system. I have no idea. But he said, that's a perfect unit. And he was even surprised of all the stuff I was doing with the system that nobody else is doing with it. So I can't say anything more about the antenna except go get one. And I mean, you need to have two systems. So you need to have one for transmission and one for receiving. That's all you need. Then you can buy multiple, whether if you want to have receiving dishes and then have them in multiple locations, and then have everybody connected in one big network. Or you can have it set up so that you have certain buildings are transmitting and certain buildings are receiving. So, I mean, you only find out for yourself if this is going to work for you or not, is just to go get it. So, like and subscribe on YouTube, look me up on Facebook, and I hope you have a great day. And like I've said, just go get the system yourself and try it. And a setup video will be coming shortly. Have a good day.